Early one morning, two monks, an older one and a younger one, started a journey through the mountains. The older monk, Master Wei, was calm and smiled often. The younger monk, Lin, was serious and always followed the rules. They walked in silence, enjoying the cool morning air. The path took them through thick forests and over small hills. Birds sang, and a gentle breeze blew. As they reached a river, they saw a young woman standing there. She looked worried. The river was wild and deep because of the rains. She needed to cross, but she was scared. Lin thought about helping her, but monks are not supposed to touch women. So, he just looked at her, and then walked past. Master Wei saw her too. Without saying anything, he picked her up and carried her across the river. Lin watched in surprise. Master Wei put her down on the other side, and she thanked him with a big smile. They continued their journey, but Lin couldn't stop thinking about what Master Wei had done. It was against the rules. He felt confused and a little upset. Hours passed, and Lin finally said, "Master Wei, can I ask you something? Why did you carry that woman? We are not supposed to do that." Master Wei looked at Lin and smiled. "I left the woman by the river. Why are you still carrying her in your mind?" Lin didn't answer. He thought about what Master Wei said for a long time. They walked on, and the sun started to set, turning the sky orange and pink. The path after the river became steeper, winding through the heart of the mountains. Lin walked behind Master Wei, his thoughts heavy with the morning's incident. He kept replaying the scene at the river, unable to shake off his confusion. Why did Master Wei break the rules so easily? Lin wondered silently. He had always seen rules as something firm, unbreakable. As they walked, they met an old farmer heading down the path with his donkey. The farmer greeted them warmly and offered them some fruit. Lin noticed how Master Wei accepted with a smile, sharing a light-hearted joke with the farmer. The farmer laughed heartily, his face creasing into 1,000 lines of joy. Lin pondered this interaction. There was something about Master Wei's way, a simplicity and ease with life. It was as if he knew something Lin didn't. The path led them through a meadow filled with wildflowers. Butterflies danced around them, and the air was fresh with the scent of blooming flowers. Lin couldn't help but feel a sense of peace in this natural beauty despite the turmoil in his mind. "Master Wei," Lin started hesitantly, "back at the river, I don't understand. Aren't the rules important?" Master Wei stopped and looked around at the meadow. "Rules are like these paths, Lin. They guide us, but sometimes we need to step off the path to see the flowers. Understanding the heart of the rule is more important than the rule itself." Lin mulled over these words. They were simple, yet they stirred something deep within him. The rest of the day he became more observant, noticing the small joys of the journey. The warmth of the sun, the coolness of a stream they crossed, the smiles of the people they met. As the day ended, they set up a small camp under the stars. Lin lay awake for a while, looking up at the vast night sky, pondering the lessons of the day. Slowly, the firm lines of rules in his mind began to blur, giving way to a larger, more profound understanding. As the sun rose the next morning, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, Master Wei and Lin continued their journey. By midday, they reached a small mountain village nestled among tall pines. The villagers greeted them with smiles and kindness. An elderly woman invited them to rest and have some tea at her simple house. Lin noticed how the villagers seemed to live with so little, yet their faces were bright with contentment. As they sipped the hot tea, the elderly woman shared stories of the village and its people. She spoke of hard winters and bountiful summers, of celebrations and heartaches. Through it all, her eyes sparkled with a deep sense of peace. Lin listened intently, his thoughts drifting back to the woman at the river and the rules he had clung to so tightly. He realized that the villagers, much like Master Wei, had an ease about them. They embraced life as it came, rejoicing in the good and accepting the hard. After the tea, a group of children gathered around Master Wei, laughing and asking him questions. Lin watched as Master Wei answered them with gentle humor, his face alight with a joyful calm. That evening, as they prepared to sleep in a room offered by the villagers, Lin asked, "Master Wei, the people here have so little, yet they seem so happy." "How is that?" Master Wei replied, "Happiness, Lin, doesn't come from what we have. It comes from what we let go of, worries, desires, and even some rules. Like these villagers, we can find joy in the simplest things in life." Lin lay in the darkness, pondering Master Wei's words. He thought about the laughter of the children, the stories of the old woman, and the serene faces of the villagers. A sense of calm began to settle in his heart, a feeling that was new and comforting. As sleep took over, Lin realized that the journey was teaching him more than he had expected. It was opening his eyes to a different way of seeing the world, a way that was less about holding on and more about letting go. With the first light of dawn, Master Wei and Lin bid farewell to the mountain village and ventured into a dense forest that lay on their path. The forest was a canopy of green, with sunlight filtering through the leaves, creating patterns on the forest floor. As they delved deeper, the forest grew darker and the path less clear. Lin felt a sense of unease creeping into him. The sounds of the forest were unfamiliar, and the thick underbrush made their progress slow. At one point, they reached a fork in the path. Lin looked to Master Wei for guidance, but the older monk simply said, "Choose the path, Lin." Lin hesitated, then chose the path on the right. As they walked, the path became narrower and overgrown. Lin began to doubt his choice. Had he led them astray? Seeing Lin's concern, Master Wei said, "In life, Lin, like in the forest, we must make choices without fear. To let go is to trust the path we choose, even when it's not clear." They continued, and soon the path opened up to a clearing. A small stream flowed through it, and the air felt fresher. Lin realized that his choice hadn't been wrong, just different. As night approached, they found a sheltered spot to rest. Lin gathered wood for a fire, his mind reflecting on the day's events. He thought about his decision at the fork, the uncertainty, and the outcome. It wasn't about right or wrong, but about moving forward and trusting the journey. That night, Lin felt a change within himself. The rigid boundaries of right and wrong, the strict adherence to rules, and the fear of making mistakes began to soften. He was beginning to understand the essence of Master Wei's teachings, the freedom and peace in letting go. Lying under the starry sky, Lin felt a connection to the world around him like never before. He was learning not just to walk the path, but to be part of it. The next day, Master Wei and Lin set out early, aiming to reach the summit of the mountain by noon. The path was steep and rugged, challenging them with every step. Lin found himself focusing on each breath, each movement, fully immersed in the effort of climbing. When they finally reached the summit, Lin was breathless, not just from the climb, but from the stunning view that greeted them. The world lay stretched out below them, a tapestry of forests, rivers and distant villages, all under a vast cloudless sky. They sat in silence, taking in the beauty. Lin felt a profound sense of peace, a feeling that all his worries and doubts were insignificant compared to the vastness of the world before him. After a while, Master Wei spoke. "Every step of the climb is like a day in our lives, Lin. It can be hard and the path can be unclear. But when we reach our summit, whatever it may be, we see how every step mattered, how every choice was part of our journey." Lin nodded, understanding. He thought about their journey, the choices he had made, and the lessons he had learned. He realized that reaching the summit was not just about the physical height, but about gaining a new perspective, and they spent hours at the summit talking and enjoying the serenity. Master Wei shared stories of his own journey, of the summits he had reached and the valleys he had traversed. His words were simple, but they carried the weight of lived wisdom. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of gold and purple, they began their descent. Lin felt different, as if the climb had not only taken him to the mountain summit, but had also lifted him to a new understanding. That night, as they camped by a gentle stream, Lin felt grateful for the journey, for Master Wei's guidance, and for the lessons learned. He realized that letting go was not losing control, but gaining freedom. The freedom to experience life with an open heart and a peaceful mind. As the morning sun cast a soft light through the trees, Master Wei and Lin began their journey back to the monastery. The path they had traveled now seemed different to Lin. He saw things he hadn't noticed before. The way the light played on the leaves, the sound of the distant river, and the peaceful rhythm of their steps. Along the way, they encountered a young traveler who had lost his way. The old Lin might have simply offered directions and moved on, adhering to the rule of minimal interaction. But the new Lin, influenced by his journey, invited the traveler to walk with them for a while. He listened to the traveler's stories and shared his own insights, feeling a sense of connection and joy in the interaction. Later, they passed through the same mountain village. The villagers greeted them warmly, noticing a change in Lin. He was more open, more at ease. He helped an elderly man with his load, laughing and chatting with him as if they were old friends. That evening, as they sat by a fire outside the village, Master Wei asked Lin, "How does the journey back feel?" Lin reflected for a moment and replied, "It feels lighter, Master Wei. I see now that letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means accepting and finding peace in the way things are." Master Wei nodded, a small smile on his face. "You have learned well, Lin. The journey of letting go is also the journey of finding yourself." As they continued their journey back to the monastery, Lin felt a profound sense of transformation. He no longer carried the weight of rigid rules and unyielding expectations. Instead, he carried with him the lessons of the journey, the beauty of simplicity, the joy of connection, and the peace of letting go. The final leg of their journey was a quiet one. Lin walked with a sense of inner peace he had never known before. The monastery, which once seemed to him a place of strict rules and discipline, now felt like a sanctuary of wisdom and learning. As they entered the monastery, the other monks gathered around, curious about their journey. Lin spoke of the mountains, the village, the forest, and the people they met. But more importantly, he spoke of the lessons he learned, about letting go, about understanding the true meaning of rules, and about finding joy in simplicity. The monks listened, intrigued by the change in Lin. He was no longer just a rule follower. He was now a monk with a deeper understanding, a monk who had found a new way to see the world. Master Wei watched Lin with a quiet pride. He had seen many students on their journeys, but Lin's transformation was special. It was profound and heartfelt. In the following days, Lin found himself more involved in the monastery, teaching younger monks and sharing his experiences. He realized that his journey with Master Wei was not just about letting go of the physical burden, but also about letting go of mental barriers and limitations. One evening, as Lin sat watching the sunset, he reflected on his journey. He thought about the woman at the river, the villagers, the young traveler, and the lessons each encounter had brought. He understood now that every experience was a step towards greater wisdom and peace. The story of Lin and Master Wei's journey became a part of the monastery's teachings. A story about the journey within, a journey of letting go and finding true freedom. Lin often returned to the river where their journey began, sitting by its banks, watching the water flow. It reminded him of life's continuous movement and the importance of moving with it, not against it. In the flowing water, he saw the essence of all his lessons, the beauty of letting go, the joy of being present in the moment, and the peace in accepting life as it is.